You've been doing something every single day of your life. Something so automatic, so deeply wired into you, that you never stop to question it. You put on clothes. But here's what nobody tells you. The first humans who did this didn't do it because they were cold. They did it for a reason so strange, so psychologically deep, that when scientists finally uncovered it, it changed how we understand what it means to be human. And the most unsettling part? That reason is still controlling you. Right now, without you knowing it. For 300,000 years, humans existed on this earth without a single piece of clothing. Think about that. Ice ages came and went. Temperatures dropped to deadly lows. Predators roamed every landscape. And still, for the vast majority of human history, we were completely bare. Then, somewhere between 100,000 and 170,000 years ago, something shifted. Not the climate, not a new predator, not a sudden drop in temperature. Something happened inside the human mind. And that something forced us to cover ourselves in ways that had nothing to do with survival. Scientists spent decades assuming the answer was obvious. Cold weather. Simple protection. Problem solved. But then they looked closer. And what they found was far stranger than anyone expected. Here is how researchers actually traced the origin of clothing. They didn't find ancient fabric. Fabric rots. It disappears over thousands of years and leaves nothing behind. Instead, they tracked lice. Specifically, they studied the moment when human head lice evolved into body lice. Because body lice live in clothing, they need fabric to survive. So the exact moment body lice appeared in the human evolutionary record is, essentially, the moment humans started wearing clothes. And that moment? Roughly 170,000 years ago. But here's where it gets interesting. That timeline doesn't match the coldest periods in human history. It doesn't line up with the harshest climates our ancestors faced. So if it wasn't the cold that triggered clothing, what was it? Researchers started digging deeper. Into anthropology. Into behavioral psychology. Into something much less comfortable than temperature. And the answer they found wasn't about the body at all. It was about the mind. Specifically, it was about the birth of something uniquely human, self-awareness. Around the same time humans started covering themselves, something else was happening. Burial rituals began appearing. Cave paintings emerged. Symbolic thinking, abstract art, the ability to imagine a future and fear a past. All of it was igniting inside the human brain simultaneously. Philosophers call this the awakening of the self. Scientists call it the cognitive revolution. And it came with a cost that nobody talks about. The moment a creature becomes self-aware, it also becomes aware of something terrifying. Vulnerability. Exposed skin is not just physical. When humans began to see themselves as individuals, separate from nature, separate from the group, the naked body became something that could be judged, something that could be seen, evaluated, and used as a measure of worth. This is where things become unsettling. Because clothing, from the very beginning, was never really about the cold. It was about shame. Not shame in the moral sense, but shame as a psychological survival mechanism. The need to control how others perceive you. The need to present a version of yourself before the world sees the raw, unfiltered version underneath. Your ancestors didn't cover themselves to stay warm. They covered themselves to stay safe from each other. And the darker implication? That impulse has never left us. Think about the last time you chose what to wear. You probably didn't think of it as a survival decision. You thought about color, fit, occasion, impression. But your brain was running the same ancient calculation it always has. Who will see me? What will they think? How much of me is safe to reveal? Every morning, before you walk into the world, you perform a ritual that is 170,000 years old. You build a version of yourself. You decide what the world gets to see. Your ancestors used animal skins and woven fiber. You use fabric and fashion and brand logos and colors that feel like you. But the function is identical. It is armor. Psychological armor. A boundary between your interior self and the exterior world that gets to judge it. Here is the question that should stay with you. If you stripped away every piece of clothing, every label, every fabric choice, every signal you send with what you wear, who would be standing there? Not who you present, not who you perform. Who actually remains? Most people never sit with that question long enough to feel it. Here is the final layer. Researchers studying isolated communities, indigenous groups with minimal clothing traditions, found something remarkable. The less a society used clothing as a status signal, the less anxiety its members reported about social judgment. Not because they were primitive, because they hadn't built the wall. When you cover yourself every day, you are not just protecting your body. You are maintaining a separation, a gap between what you are and what the world sees. And over a lifetime, that gap can become enormous. You can spend decades perfecting the presentation and completely forgetting what you were presenting in the first place. Somewhere inside you, beneath every layer you've carefully chosen, is the version of you that existed before the armor, before the identity, before the reputation. Just skin, just breath, just a human being standing in the world without a single thing between them and it. Your ancestors covered themselves the moment they became aware that others were watching. The watching never stopped, and neither did the covering. The only question left is this. Underneath everything you've put on, are you still there?